Welcome to the Chewn podcast, where real topics are discussed by fake individuals with fake opinions. Even if it's the host or the guest, don't take them seriously. And if you do get offended, guess what? Shit happens. Leave it below in the comment section. Let's roll. What's going on, good people? As my brother Dan DeVille says, the nation, Chewing the Fat podcast is back. We got some more topics. We got some more things to talk about. We got outlandish shit going on. We got something, a little bit of nothing going on, or we got something that's kind of crazy, a little bit investigative. Who left it? Who did what with the crowbar and the lamb library type shit going on, man? So what's going on, Dan DeVille? How you doing, man?
Ain't nothing, man. Here back for the nation, here to educate and agitate. And yeah, we're going to talk about a few of these subjects and, dive deep into it.
Yes, sir.
Provide
Yes, sir.
a little dialogue for the nation.
Yes, sir. And big shout out to our people out there, comment, subscribe, and sharing. Big shout out to those that already, tell us that we can't do what we're doing. And big shout out to you can't have success without any haters. Major shout out to people subscribe and comment, encouraging. We are trying to bring topics and conversation that is a little bit different than you might see on other platforms. But right now we got a real Karen. I mean, her name is really Karen. It's not like the metaphorical Karen. We got a Karen. Right now, people are rejoicing. Dan DeVille brought this topic up. I was looking at it last night. It really wasn't even on my desk. Didn't really know what was going on. Kind of looked into it, and it was a big party, man, for her being acquitted. I think this was the second trial. So, Dan DeVille, talk a little bit about it, man, and then I'll give you what I think on it, and then you talk about. We'll talk it out amongst each other.
Well, I'll say this here, and the law worked both ways. When I saw that, I walk in the crib, TV on, I look, I say, man, what's all this noise going on? Man, what is this all about? And I see the white lady, and with the pantsuit on, look like the assistant principal, the one that,
right.
Chase you when you're skipping school, make you tardy and stuff, the mean.
Right.
And she coming out with the lawyers, and I see folks cheering and the crowd. I said, man, what is this about? And I listen,
right.
And she get on the mic and she get to talking, and and I'm glad y'all stood up for me and donated money to me. And the coldest thing was, I say, well, damn. She said, yeah, and I wish justice for the victim. I say, well, damn. Well, damn. And they cheered harder. I say, well, damn. Did. I say, man, I hadn't seen such things since the OJ trial. You know what I'm saying? I say, well, damn. Okay. So that it sparked my thought. And I said, well, I mean, we felt pretty good the Jews came home. We felt pretty good about that.
Right.
So I had to catch myself when I started to get a little perturbed.
Even swap no swindle. I got you. Even swap no swindle.
Watching this thing. And right, so I called myself. I said, "Well, shit, I ain't mind when OJ did it." So I started to dig a little bit deeper. But I think we got a clip of it. Let's invite the people down. Get them engaged. Let's see what they think about this.
Let's play the clip. Here we go. Right here. Yeah. We're gonna play this clip. Bring it in, as Dan DeVille said, and here we go.
For almost 4 years. And the second thing I want to say is no one has fought harder for justice for John O'Keefe than I have and my team. Thank you.
You killed him. Man, right. The audacity of something. The audacity.
Right.
Brother,
right.
What's your thoughts on this, man? Because
hey, I can say that I didn't even think about the OJ shit, right? So when I think about OJ, I'm like, still not even sure OJ really did it. And if he did do it, he innocent. Shit was
law say he ain't do it.
Like,
law say he ain't do it.
Right, law say he ain't do it. If the glove don't fit, then you must have quit. And, Johnny Cochran was the shit. So I'm going to say that. The other thing I am going to say is people still look and say OJ did it, right? There's a lot of people that still think OJ did this shit and he got off. And I would even say to some degree, knowing how criminal and civil still, works differently.
Right.
I don't agree with how civil and criminal work in some ways. If you get found innocent of a crime, I do not think that even in civil court they should be able to come back and sue you financially for a crime that you were acquitted of. I think that's kind of crazy. I think
you can't get all the way off.
You can't get all the way off.
You can't get all the way off.
You can't get all the way off. With that being said, I did a little bit of looking into the case with Karen, and it was very odd to me that in the case itself, there wasn't a lot of questions as to where were you and what the hell were you doing, right? Like there were even for a witness that they had for their team, the lady who was driving her, I don't exactly remember her name, she said that Karen was frantic and kept asking multiple times, did I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Well, why the hell you think you hit anything? That was the first thing I thought. Like, why do you think you hit anything unless you know you hit something?
Right.
All right. Then we got a tail light that is damaged, and it's very funny to me how the
parts in the yard.
Right. The parts and drop down. The defense was very excited about one of the, I think it might have been a Georgia State Patrol, not a Georgia State Patrol, but a State Patrol officer versus the county officer saying that the light was still damaged, but it wasn't damaged to a certain degree, which I think is kind of funny because what one person sees as something being largely damaged might be different to another person because another person might not have the perspective of what something being totally damaged is. Me, as a car person, I'm going to see that shit like, who fucked up my car? That's how I'm looking. Somebody that has no perception or experience to know how something can be damaged, and if that part's damaged, something definitely bad happened, might not say, oh, that ain't so bad. No, that's bad. That is technically bad. And it also told me this, because there were shards of a glass found in her bumper. So if there's shards, and they're talking about shards of a glass, now we talking about a cup. We're talking about a cup. We're not talking about from another tail light lens. We're not talking about from a headlight lens. We're talking about shards of glass embedded in your bumper from a cup.
That's the glass that he had in his hand.
Because y'all just came from bar hopping. You was driving, he drinking. So I'm saying, okay, so now we got that. And then we got the body. Then they were going to a house party. She decided she wasn't going to go in. He gets out the car. People say he never makes it in. They see her backing up and moving. Then she dips off. Yo, she ran the motherfucker over, man. We talking about skull fractures that take high impacts of pressure. Plenty of teams looked at this. I don't know how the fuck she got off with Johnny Crocker not alive, but she got the hell off on a murder charge, man.
Brother,
it's straight up murder, bro. People gonna hate this shit. They're like, no, she's innocent. No, she's not. But I give you this. She's not innocent, but she's got off. So don't say nothing shit. Don't say shit else about OJ. Don't say nothing else about the juice, man.
Y'all got one too. Y'all got one too.
Y'all get a lot of them, actually.
Yeah. You know, but I mean, just saying, just on the, legal side, boom, boom.
Yeah, on the legal side of things.
Y'all got you one. Okay. What I found quite disturbing, because they were dating. And and he was actually a police officer.
He is. Right.
I find it very, very interesting that they've got all the records that they had a tumultuous relationship. So they fight, get drunk, argue all the time. They drink and fight and, all that.
Right.
Boom.
And then we into it that night.
Right. She said that she knew he was in the grass, in the ground, in the yard,
in the snow.
She didn't hit him. Never said. Well, how you know he in the ground, knocked out, but you don't know how he got there.
You don't know. And how he got there.
And you left him. I find it quite interesting how you find a jury that say, well, no, she ain't guilty of manslaughter, she ain't guilty of murder, none of that. But say that DUI now. That DUI.
That DUI.
you got community service about that now. You got to do some community service. You 40 hours. 40 hours.
What you think about the Google search? What you think about the Google search?
Enlighten me.
Okay, so I think her name is Sarah. One of her other friends, or her what I'm gonna call an accomplice. Might be wrong, but I know it was somebody that was involved throughout the debacle of this night.
Okay.
It is said that Google, they do a bunch of data search.
Right.
She searched on Google, how long does it take for somebody to die in the snow? And then tried to erase that history.
You lying to me.
Nah, bro. They said that she, in her history, that she tried to erase. She had put in Google how long it takes for somebody to die in the snow. Why would you do that? And this is prior to supposedly you and your friend going back to look. Now, it wasn't Karen. I think it was somebody named Sarah, but still somebody involved with you supposedly
Had
going
knowledge.
out looking for. Why are you searching for something that says how long you die in the snow? You just left this man in the snow at this party.
Right.
But you don't know nothing about it, right? Nah, man. It's.
You can't even lie to him. I thought he was all right. You can't even lie and say that.
Right.
I thought he was going to make it. He do this all the time.
Yeah. And
No,
you
you
sure
can't.
didn't testify to say that you saw him walk from the car into the house.
Man.
Never was that part. And people in the party say he never made it in. So whatever took place in between that car, that house, is still involved with you.
And the dog bite.
And you the one that got the
You know,
busted
on top of that.
Oh,
so
no.
do you
Guess
know
what?
how
a
long?
panel looked at that.
So let me give you my personal analysis of this.
Go ahead.
Now they did the research. Say that they had given the dog back to another family. Say the dog was a little off the chain. German Shepherd mix. Say he would fight. He would fight with the other dogs. Right. The man was out there in the snow, and the coroner's report showed that when he came in, his temperature was something like 20 degrees lower than what it should have been if he had just died.
Right.
You know, the puncture wounds for him to have been out there for hours. That means, and this is just my thought, that dog seen him out there. That dog know him. That dog done tried to bite him and grab him by the arm and pull him to the house. You know, it wasn't the wounds didn't bite through and tear.
Got you.
If the wounds bit through and tore, that means it was an attack. It was just a wound where the dog, hey, get up, come on. So yeah, man. So hell, even the dog knew she was wrong.
Right. And they actually another panel of coroners reviewed that information and the photos.
Right.
And several of them say that they do not believe that those marks were made by any dog at all. They actually say they're so uniformed in the way they're structured. They believe that if they did proper research, they would have found those same patterns of whatever made those wounds on his arms underneath her car. That's what it was about a panel of 5 coroners that all agreed unanimously that they said that these marks are so uniform, and that the way a dog would puncture, even trying to pull, there would be a widening and then a slithering of that, because he's trying to pull. So the gap to get in and then just kind of ripping the skin. They said it's so uniform. It's not made by animal. They all believe that it was made by something mechanical or something uniform underneath a car by him being ran over and then her pulling off. So they think that it was an improper investigation done. Had somebody went underneath the car and tried to match up these marks, they likely would have found out those marks on his arm would have matched some sort of pattern underneath the vehicle.
Now, see, what you saying that, now I tie that into another part I read about it, where his actual police department that he worked out of, they were supposed to be conducting the investigation. And then it became some issue with the prosecutor, and then they started dropping the ball, and then the prosecutor just started investigating the police department. And then they kind of like, all right, well, damn. All right, well, what,
Right.
This is a hell of a case. She's, from what I understand, she's $5 million in debt right now, legally to her legal team. $5 million. But that's not the kicker. The kicker is that she raised, while she was in prison, she was in the penitentiary, people donated over $1.9 million to her. Over $1.9 million they donated to her.
1.9. So let me get this right.
Yeah.
You white and you a female. If you do murder or you do something racist like calling a little kid a nigger, people will give you millions of dollars.
Man, for murder, they gave her something like $1.9 million, and
That's wild.
As I was sitting there watching the program.
That's crazy.
The analysis, so they've got a whole book tour lined up for her. They're about to work on the A&E special, not A&E, but what's the name of that
Lifetime.
show? Lifetime. Yeah.
Always Lifetime, man.
Yeah. You know, they're about to work on that for her, man. So
Okay.
she coming out of she coming out of prison better than a dope boy.
Man, straight up.
Yeah,
Straight up.
Man.
Yo, I must say this, that I was really lost. I don't want to say lost because I wasn't lost because I understood what I was looking at and I've had my opinions about it, but I was really stumped on how they carried out this second trial. Then it did make me consider this, and this is wild. And some of you in the comment section will be like, "Man, you two motherfuckers, y'all going all off the railroad tracks."
It don't matter, because we laying the track.
Laying the track, right.
Y'all ride the train. Y'all ride the train.
We lay the track down.
Stay in your seat.
Yeah, there you go. I think that what if just perhaps she
Right.
did do this?
Right.
She killed this officer. Mm-hmm. But what if justice for him by imprisoning her led to a longer, lengthy investigation of things he may have been involved in with his police officer buddies that had totally nothing to do with them, but probably inevitably would have been coming out as in part of this, and the police department just said, yo, he gone. We ain't got time for this shit. We eating off a lot of things we got going on. We don't need these motherfuckers digging down in our haystack. We just don't need it.
You called it. That's exactly what happened when them prosecutors started digging. They was like, "Hey, all right," and they backed off. You called it. You called
Bro,
it, man.
That's how I started seeing it, Dan DeVille.
Yeah, this is a sticky situation, but I will say this. The law worked both ways, and you just got to catch it when it's your time. It's like the lotto. It's just like the lotto. Everybody ain't gonna make it, but that one that do hit, hey, we gonna celebrate you.
We gonna celebrate. Right.
That we seen, OJ and Karen sitting in a tree. KILLING.